What's up, everybody? Ship here. So as promised, here is the Hunter subclass feature that we're going to get into today. So let's get into it straight away. So we have a Bladedancer and Gunslinger class. So we're going to get into both of them today and maximizing them for both PvE and PvP. So we're going to format a little different from yesterday. Yesterday I went over each individually. I'm just going to do PvE and PvP at the same time and make changes as we go. So let's try and make this quick. And let's go. So first things first, I pretty much exclusively run Arc Bolt Grenade. It's a grenade that chains bolts of lightning to nearby enemies, and it binds to L1. Okay, so if you're used to either of these grenades, if you love sticking people, then perfect, stick with that. I just find the Arc Bolt is most efficient because of the fact that it chains two enemies and can get multiple kills, whereas I find this Flux Grenade has to be stuck in order to kill anyone, otherwise it's not going to do a whole lot of damage. So in terms of just pure damage, Arc Bolt is definitely your best bet, especially if you pair that with a Lucky Raspberry, and that's the exotic piece that you respawn with a grenade energy every time, so you can't go wrong with that. So jump, this is pretty subjective. It really is entirely up to you how you feel. I personally run Blink for both PvE and PvP, so not a whole lot to say about that. Let's move on to Arc Blade. So there's going to be a couple changes here. So you have 3 perks in this tree: Showstopper, Razor's Edge, and Vanish. So Showstopper, basically what it does is when you hit R2 when you're in your super, you'll spin around and anything in the area around you will be massacred, basically. But the problem with this is, whether it be in PvE or PvP, sometimes being close combat in your Bladedancer is not what you want. So I find this will get you in trouble more often than not. But hey, if you're having success with it, hey, all the power to you. So in PvP, I'm going to be running Razor's Edge. So what it does is it actually sends a bolt of lightning on the ground towards your enemies. So if you have 2-3 people in front of you, it can really make your life a lot easier. I'm sure if you check a couple of the videos on my channel, you'll see Razor's Edge in action. So it's pretty lethal. Look it up if you haven't tried it out. And the best part is a hell of a lot of fun to run in Crucible. So that's my bet for Crucible. And then Vanish. This is what I run in PvE. So being able to go invisible and run past enemies, whether it be in the Crota raid or whether it be in Prison of Elders, eliminating the mines. This is an amazing ability to have. I run Bladedancer pretty much exclusively just to be defensive in PvE. So Vanish is really helpful. So Escape Artist, hitting an enemy with Blink Strike grants brief invisibility. So you can guess that this is for my PvE build. PvP, I'm going to actually be running Backstab. So hitting an enemy from behind with Blink Strike causes significantly more damage. So this Backstab is really helpful in PvE because it's if your Blink is charged and you're running from behind someone and you hit them, they're one-shotted. So you can't go wrong with that. And then Fast Switch reduces the cooldown of Blink Strike, which is nice, but I would rather use one of these 2 perks and let its strength run its course and build up that charge on its own. So these I just find are much more useful. That's a little more useless. So that's great. So Codex, same as yesterday. Jacked up armor, can't go wrong with that. Staying alive trumps all. So into this perk tree, we have Shadowjack, Quick Draw, and Fleet-Footed. So Fleet-Footed, you'll see, increases your agility a bit. But I actually find that in terms of movability and just fluidity of your character moving, switching weapons, all that jazz, Quick Draw is actually what you're going to want to run with. It's one of the best perks you can have in the Crucible. So for PvP, definitely Quick Draw. And then for PvE, Shadowjack, increase the duration of invisibility effects. Going invisible and staying invisible, having increased armor. If they can't see you, they can't hit you, right? Well, in theory. Well, we all know things can happen, obviously. Then on our last perk tree, we have Stalker. Gain invisibility after crouching in place for a short time. I bet you can bet that this is my PvE preferred loadout rather. And then in terms of Hungering Blade, this is great for PvP. I wouldn't go into a Crucible match without it if I'm running Bladedancer. The ability to make multiple kills in close quarters is pretty much contingent on having Hungering Blade turned on, because when you have 2-3 guys shooting at you, sometimes more, after you've killed the first guy, chances are someone will melee you or shotgun you. But if your health starts regenerating as soon as you get that first kill, then you're much more likely to get those other kills. So that's it for Bladedancer. If that was too quick or you have any questions, please don't be shy. Drop it in the comment section below. We're gonna move on to Gunslinger. So let's get into it right away. So the grenades, unlike Bladedancer, do change depending on the situation. The incendiary grenade is pretty wicked. So in PvE, I'll probably run one of these two depending on how I'm feeling. I tend to stick away from the trip mine in PvE. The reason being is I don't know how many times I've stuck someone with this grenade in PvE, and it detonates and it kills both of us, and that's not really helpful. So I find I just try and stay out of trouble. I'll run that incendiary grenade in PvE, but in PvP, especially playing Control, or especially and also in Trials of Osiris, trip mine is really helpful. Whether you're putting that on a ghost or throwing it at a control zone, it can do a lot of damage. So onto the jump. Triple jump is my preferred, being able to time these, and it actually really helps evading enemies. So being able to have an additional jump in the air. So then if you're rocking those Bones of Yao, have one more and it's just insanity. So it's pretty wicked. So we're gonna move on to the golden gun. So we have Deadeye, Combustion, and Gunfighter. So I pretty much exclusively run Combustion, whether that be PvE or PvP. And the reason being is collateral kills are one of my favorite things in this game. So this allows for that, and we'll see in a second another perk that we can chain with it to really maximize the combustion and the power of the golden gun. So we'll move on to Blink, which is the throwing knife on Gunslinger. So there's Circle of Life, Incendiary Blade, and Knife Juggler. So in PvE, Knife Juggler is a great perk, especially if you pair it with Gambler's Dagger, which gives you an additional throwing knife. So you could pretty much have 2 unlimited knives. But the reason I prefer to run Circle of Life is because you'll notice it actually increases the armor on the Gunslinger Hunter. And I know it seems marginal, but the way I roll. More armor, the better. So that's the way to go. Incendiary Blade is pretty sweet in Crucible. If you've hit someone once with your, say you shot someone once with your Hawkmoon, hit them with the Incendiary Blade. If it's not precision, chances are they probably bleed out because it burns over time, which is pretty epic. And then Knife Juggler, as we talked about, it resets as soon as you get a precision kill, so it even makes a pretty cool little sound in your head if you're wearing a headset. So pretty epic. So on to the Codex. Same thing, max armor, that never changes. And then so there's a couple perk trees left to go over. The first one is Gunslinger's Trance. Precision kills, increased weapon stability, stacks up to 3 times. Keyhole and Scavenger. So picking up ammo reduces cooldown of a grenade and throwing knife. That's pretty sweet, but Keyhole or Gunslinger's Trance is probably more helpful. If you're playing by yourself, chances are Gunslinger's Trance is probably your best bet. And if you pair that with this guy, Chain of Woe, precision kills, increased weapon reload speed. So you've got increased reload speed, and you're stacking that at the same time with stability. So that's a really, really dangerous combo, especially if you're, lone wolfing something in PvE. It works out pretty well. Keyhole over penetrates and can damage multiple targets. That works really well with Combustion. So you have that to keep in mind as well. And then Over the Horizon and Gambler's Dagger, as we talked about. Over the Horizon, I find is really nice in PvP because it gives you a bit extra range, so always helpful. And that's it for the Hunter class. So I'll be bringing the Titan for you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed.